Hello and welcome to the Warhannam channel. My name's Ian and in this video I'm going to discuss how I approach new projects. Whether it's a whole new army or maybe just a big unit, I'm here to tell you about tapering, a method to organise your painting and help you stay motivated. I wonder how many abandoned painting projects you have in your past. I know for me it's a lot. Like so many other things in life, starting something and finishing something are very different things. There are so many factors that can derail your efforts, from your mood, loss of interest, life circumstances, or just hitting that mental motivational wall. Tapering is a way of turning some of those barriers into strengths. In basic terms, we're going to start by painting a lot of models, and then over time we'll reduce the amount down as our motivation wanes. In this video, I'm going to run you through an example hypothetical army painting project to illustrate how it works. So you've got yourself a nice Gloomspite Gits army. Those guys are good now, right? I mean, I've always loved them, of course, and I'd like that to be noted. So we've gone out and picked up a load of stuff. Some mobs of stabbers, some fanatics, some sneaky snufflers, a fungoid cave shaman, and some squig herds, Boingrot bounders, and of course some rockgut troggoths. Everyone loves trogs. So we're going to start by building it all and then priming it all. That's the thickest end of the wedge, the top of our taper. Next step is to identify an aspect that we're going to start painting across the whole army. I've chosen the grot skin, so we're going to taper down to reduce our pool of models by putting aside any that don't include grot skin. So the squigs of the squig herd, well except the one that's eating a grot, and the troggoths, apart from the one that's wielding a terrified grot. Then we're going to dig in and base coat all that skin on the rest. Now obviously how people paint differs. You might be a base coat everything and then wash it and then layer it and then highlight it type, or you might do section by section to completion. So I'll try and be fairly generic here. Having a plan to do one simple job in a painting session feels far less intimidating than setting yourself a more complex and unrealistic goal, and it can really help with your motivation. Achieving what you set out to do at each stage gives you a real boost, so at this stage, think small, but over a lot of models. This early stage can be quite monotonous and mindless, and you definitely have to put on some TV in the background, listen to an audiobook or a podcast to keep you going. Other forms of entertainment available. So now you've base coated all the skin on every grot in your initial batch, and it might have been a bit of a slog, but you've got some paint on most of your models in your army now, so well done. Before you plan your next step, give yourself a quick motivation check. Can you face doing the next step on all those models, or do you need to reduce down a bit? Let's say in my next session I want to base coat the robes on my grots, but I really can't face doing all 40 stabbers. So I'm going to put 20 of them aside, and actually, realistically, I think doing the Boingrots might be a bit too much as well. So although I'm not going to get those models done to the next step immediately, when I go back to work on them, they have some paint on them already. And I don't know about you, but I always find it easier to start painting when it isn't completely from scratch. At this point, it's worth organising and noting down what stages your models are at. If you have space and aren't using the models for a game, you could leave them set out in a group. But if, like me, leaving models within reach of a 3-year-old, or simply not liking clutter is an issue, note it down in your notebook, or on your phone so you know what stages you've done on each miniature. So now we have a smaller batch to work on, and again we're doing a fairly mindless task, so embrace it and have that form of entertainment on to help you. So we've knuckled down and base coated those many robes, and wow, that was a mind killer. So let's be kind to ourselves and have a bit of an easier step next. I'm determined at the end to have 20 stabbers finished, and they're the simplest models in the army, so I'm going to take them and the fanatics forwards and bench the rest for now. The fungoid and the snufflers are super detailed, so we'll worry about them another time. And I'm pretty bored of production line painting so many models, so everything that isn't 20 stabbers or fanatics are going on the sidelines. Again, we'll note down what step we're at, but they'll be easy to return to at a later date. In my next session I might want to work on weapons, the teeth, the belts, or anything the models have in common really. After this I decide that the fanatics have extra details that the stabbers don't, so I'm going to put them to one side, again noting down where we're at with those. I like having finished models and find it motivating, so I'll set out to push through and finish the 20 stabbers together, which I might or might not manage because it is a bit of a grind, so maybe I'll adjust my aim to 10 as I'm going along. So let's say I just managed to finish the 10, I now have some finished models, wahey! And next painting session I have some choices to make. I have a few options. If I feel I need a quick win, I can go back to the 10 stabbers that are close to finishing and get those done. Or I could go back to the grots that have just had their skin painted, pick them up and do the robes and get them along to the next step. Or maybe I want to work on the fungoid because it's a fun model. The point here is that we've got most of the army with some level of painting on it. We just need to focus on moving some of those models along to the next step on our wedge. So finally, to sum this method up, start big and do as much of the basic stuff as you feel able to on as many models as you can. Embrace the fact that painting lots of models is a bit dull, so keep your mind stimulated in whatever way works for you. Do as much as you can before demotivation hits, then adjust and adapt, reducing your workload. For me, painting models with any amount of paint already on them is much less of a barrier than grey plastic, so think of future you. I hope that's given you some food for thought. Let me know how you like to approach painting big projects and whether tapering might help you in the future. Thanks so much for watching and I hope you enjoyed it. Please do all those nice YouTubey things if you did. Thanks again and I'll see you next time. Bye!